So what we're going to do now, we're going to have a little game. Would you like to have a stretch? Go on, stand up.
Okay.
No problem at all. Anybody who wants to have a stretch, just stand up. Okay, so what we're about to do is we're about to do a practice. You can do... Come on, speak. That's okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to play a little game. Actually, it was funny, when was it? A class yesterday, I said, we're going to play a game. Does everyone like to play games? And one person went, no. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to observe things in a different way to how you normally would. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the meditation, right? Be mindful of our body. So we're going to ground our awareness in the body. That's where we're going to stay. And then what I want you to do is at one point I'm going to ask you not to think. Right? Intentionally not think. Because we all control our thinking, don't we? Yeah. So intentionally not think. Then, I'm sure it won't happen to you, when the thinking comes up, I want you to notice two things. First thing I want you to notice is, how do you experience thinking? Do you hear your thoughts? Do you see your thoughts? Do you feel your thoughts? Or do you experience them in a different way? It's very interesting. The other classes I've done this week have been very interesting results. Okay, the next thing I want you to notice, right, is where are your thoughts located? Don't assume they're in your head. Where do you experience the thinking? Yeah, these are questions that have never been asked, aren't they? It's very, very interesting. See? So it's not just about watching, it's about not taking anything for granted. How do you experience your thinking? And where is your thinking? Where is it located? Where can you find it? Or has it got no location? Very interesting. Want to give it a go? Okay. So close your eyes over lightly. Start being aware of the feeling of your body sitting on the chair or on the floor. Immerse your awareness in your body. Now start to notice your breathing going in and out of the feeling of your body. You can feel the full length of each breath. Now allow that breath to calm you. Now at this point just here, I'd like you to stop thinking. Don't think. And then observe what happens. How do you experience your thinking? Are there different types of thinking? Gently bring your awareness back into your body. Notice how when you immerse it in your body, your mind once again quietens down. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. So how did you go? Did anyone manage not to think? No? Okay.
Tried.
It's like a dam building up, isn't it? Okay. So how do you experience thinking? Is it a vision? Do you feel it? Do you hear it?
Well, it's like my own voice talking to myself sometimes.
So it's like a conversation?
Yeah, like...
So conversation, so you hear yourself speak to yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you feel it? Is it like you're speaking in your mouth?
No, it's like I'm speaking from outside.
So you feel it kind of out
Yeah.
here? That's interesting.
So similar, but also visual.
So you get visions going across? And so when you see the visions of your thoughts going across, how do you understand the visions of words?
How do I understand the visions are words?
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So you both hear it and see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And were there different types of thoughts?
Yeah. From...
Like some are really serious, some are superficial, some are just blah, 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 or?
A lot of superficial, I'd say.
Yeah.
Nothing too serious.
Yeah. Is there anything that you kind of even couldn't see they were thoughts, but they kind of felt like they were, but you couldn't identify them? Is that what you had, Linda?
When you asked us to try not to think, it was like, okay, I'm going to use a concentration technique to stop the thinking. So I placed my awareness on my forehead there, and it was almost like there was a casino, like a spot that I was visualising, and it was like, so that worked for a little while, and then it was like I could feel this shooting taste onto my tongue from the back of my neck. Oh, chocolate. And then, okay, I'll go back here. Oh, fruitcake. I could taste fruitcake. There was this shooting, so there was like this shooting sensation coming down onto my tongue where I could actually taste these things.
Yummy.
So,
Nice.
okay.
Can we see
back here. So I'm using this technique again, and then I had this bright light, and I was out here, and I had that for quite a bit of the sit, and then I was off thinking, and I didn't catch it, and then I was like, oh yes, thinking, and then I was trying to recollect, and because I was going back, the recollection was kind of like behind me.
So you could hear it as a chatter
And
behind you,
like,
yeah?
I was just thinking, what was I thinking about? Yeah. So it was like trying to...
The memory goes behind.
The memory was actually behind me.
Yeah.
It was like, my mind was back here, trying to recollect.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, when I started
How do you experience thinking? How do you experience it? Do you feel it? Do you see it? Do you hear it?
I feel it. I can taste it as well.
So when you think, you kind of taste your thinking. And is it located in the mouth?
Yeah.
See, this is what's really interesting about it. Anyone else? How do you experience thinking?
Bright colours.
So your thoughts come up as colours. So how do you understand the colours of thoughts?
Because the colours are related to different feelings.
So you get colours, then feelings, and then that becomes a thought. So if you were thinking about something, right, say you were planning to go shopping or something like that, it would come up as colours and then feelings.
Actually,
So it's really interesting topic, isn't it?
I
'Cause
had one very similar to you, where it was images. And I hadn't realised till now that most of the thinking was settling around colours and images,
yeah,
and nothing verbal.
yeah,
And they would be outside of my head, and I noticed that if there was a sound or anything auditory, then it was in that direction where the colour was, or the image, because it would be a colour or develop into an image.
yeah,
And then, if it they were obviously thoughts, but if it was like drawing a conclusion out of that, and then from behind, like with Linda, was a summary of what that whole thing was about.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, and this is what I want you to do. Don't take anything for granted. This is what makes the practice very, very interesting, right? That summary, there's always a commentator, very subtle in the background, commenting on everything. And that's the mind's job. The mind's job is to identify what everything is, categorize it so we can exist in the world. The problem is when we identify that summarizing and that commentator as being us. As you noticed, if the thinking was you, right, you don't have very much control over it, do you? No control whatsoever. So you'll notice the thinking goes of its own accord, and what's interesting is how we all experience it. Now, I experience thinking as talking, and literally it's like talking in my mouth, but my mouth doesn't move and tongue doesn't move. So I locate in here. That's where thinking is, right? So thinking's there, blah, 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 blah. But then there's other types of thinking that actually sits more at the back here, da, 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 da. And then memory kind of feels like up here, and it's going blah, 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 blah. And then I'm commentating on it down here. So there's like all these different things, and there's many layers to it. There's even thoughts that you'll notice as you observe more, thoughts that kind of come up and kind of float around, and they're not quite, you quite can't understand what they're saying yet. Yeah? They're kind of just buzzing around, they kind of blurp, blurp, come up, and you know they're a thought, but they haven't really got any content yet. It's a very, very interesting thing to do. So the more you start to observe this, the more you start to understand what's going on. And I think your whole life, all that mess that you just saw then, you've been taking it as, this is me, I am this, right? Every thought that I think is true, and every thought that I think is important. But when you really take the time just to look, it's like, my God, it's just random mess. How could I ever believe any of this stuff? And that's what you'll start to see. So you see how mindfulness practice starts to work. It's not taking anything for granted. It's not what you think happens in life. The question is, how do you, as an individual, experience the world? And as individuals, we all experience it differently because our perceptions are different. And so this is what you start to understand. And understanding that, you also stop holding people as being separate from you. As in, oh no, you should be thinking the way that I think. No, actually we don't think like that. We all think different. And that's okay. We start to understand, so those feeling of separating and barriers goes down, and judgment, that everyone should believe my view. You start to understand everyone's got different views, and their views are correct through their perception. And your view is correct only through your perception. So you don't feel the need to change everyone else's views. Yeah. So have fun with that.